Okay, this is test number 10, going from sections 1.1 all the way through 4.2. This is part 2, beginning with number 12. Instructions say to solve for y and then graph. So you have x plus y equals -1. You want to get y by itself, so you need to move what's not y over. This is an x. It's positive x, which means plus x. In order to undo that, you want to subtract by x. That'll cancel it out, leave you with just y. If you subtract by x on the left, you need to subtract by x on the right. So you have y equals -1 minus x. Go ahead and put it in, change the order of your two terms, -1 and -x, just to put the x term first, and it'll be -x minus 1. Okay, so that's solving for y, and then we can graph it based on that. Go ahead and make your input-output machine. Your input has your x values, your output is where your y's come from, and y equals -x minus 1. You need to come up with 3 values to put in place of x. -1, 0, and 1 are always your easiest ones if you're only going to use 3. So plug in those values. Notice what your equation says, though, or your expression here. It says -x. So what you have is negative, and then x's value, -1. That's going to catch some people. -1. Negative means +1 minus 1, which is 0. Negative, and then whatever's in parentheses, or I'm sorry, whatever x is, we use 0 in place of x, minus 1. So 0 minus 1 is -1. And then the last one is negative. X's value is 1 minus 1. -1 minus 1 is -2. So we could have made our graph a whole lot smaller here, but this one will work just fine. Your ordered pairs, your first one is -1, 0. It tells us to go to the left one time and not up or down at all. So we'll graph that point there. That's -1, 0. Next one tells us, our ordered pair tells us 0. And again, we're using this number and this number for our x and our y. 0, -1. And it's always x comma y, just to remind you. 0 tells you don't go left or right at all, but you go down since it's -1 one time. So your second point will go here, down one time, which is 0, -1. And then your third point, when we grab these numbers again, 1, -2, that's your third ordered pair. 1, -2 tells you to go to the right one time and down 2 times. So to the right once and down 2 times for your third point, 1, -2. Now that you have 3 points, connect them all with a straight line, straight as you can, and that'll create your equation. Number 13, 5x minus 2y. You want to get y by itself, so move 5x over. It's positive 5x, so subtract 5x. That'll cancel. If you do it to one side, you have to subtract 5x from that side. You have -2y equals 8 minus 5x. Divide by -2 on both sides. Divide, and again, you can show it doing it this way. This was helping some people the other day. Dividing both terms by -2 instead of showing the heart method. These cancel and leave you with y equals -4, and then a -5x divided by -2 is a positive 5 over 2x. And then if we reorder that, we'll actually reorder that. Let me move all of this real quick. Up there. We'll reorder that in our input-output chart. This will be our expression, 5 over 2x minus 4. Your x's are your inputs, your y's are your outputs. Use -1, use 0, and use 1. Those are easy numbers. And plug in those values in place of your expression. 5 over 2 times -1 minus 4. 5 over 2 times -1 is a -5 over 2 minus 4, and 5 over 2 simplifies to 2 1/4, so it's going to be -6 1/4. 5 over 2 times 0 is 0 minus 4, which is 0 minus 4 is -4, and 5 over 2 times 1 minus 4 is 2 1/4 minus 4, which will be negative 1 3/4. Okay, now that we have our input-output table created, we can get our three ordered pairs from them. Our first ordered pair, our x value is -1, and our y value is -6 and about in 1/4. So -1, -6 and 1/4. And the reason we left it as a mixed number is because it's easier to graph. Our second, we'll go ahead and graph that one real quick. That one tells us to go left one time and down -6 and 1/4 times. So starting at the origin, you go to the left once and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1/4. So about right there. That's where your first point will be on that one, and I'll erase that stuff to where it doesn't get too cluttered. So about right here, right below that 6. That's our first ordered pair. Your second ordered pair is 0, -4. This one's a little easier to graph. 0, -4. Tells you not to go 0, -4 tells you not to go left or right at all, but to go down 4 times. So again, starting at the origin, don't go left or right, but go down 1, 2, 3, 4 for your second point. And again, I'm just going to erase that to where it doesn't get too messy right there. There's your second point. Your first one, when you name it, it was -1, -6 and 1/4. That's your first point. Your second one is 0, -4, your second point. And then your third ordered pair, I'll just write it out here to give us a little bit more room, is 1, -1 3/4. So 1, -1 3/4. Tells us to go to the right one time and then down 1 3/4, or 3/4 of the way down. So starting at the origin, you go to the right one time and down 1 3/4 of a time. So about right there. And again, I'll just erase that just to get the clutter off of there. And that one is 1, -1 3/4. Then you have 3 points. Go ahead and connect through them with a straight line best you can. And that's your graph for number 13. From number 14, we're solving the equations. Remember, your normal order of operations is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Anytime you're undoing things, you want to do those in reverse. So you want to look for any addition and subtraction first. We have some -9. In order to undo -9, you add 9. If you add 9 on the left, you have to add 9 on the right. What you're left with over here is 2/5x. These will cancel. Equals -6 plus 9, opposite signs, so subtract them. 9 minus 6 is 3, and 9 is farther from 0, so it's +3. At this point, you have 2/5x, which means 2/5 times x. Now, what we would do with that is, in order to undo multiply, we would divide by 2/5, and then we would multiply. Since we're dividing by a fraction, we would multiply by its reciprocal. We went ahead last week or 2 weeks ago and we changed that to where we're saying let's just multiply by the reciprocal. So multiplying by 5/2 will cancel out that fraction 2/5 times x. But if you multiply the left by 5/2, you have to do the same thing to the right, multiply by 5/2. This fraction will cancel this one out and leave you with just x. Everything is over 1 and you multiply straight across. 3 times 5 is 15 and 1 times 2 is 2. So x is 15/2. Number 15 says 10 equals -d plus 6. Again, your normal order of operations says to do, please excuse my dear then Aunt Sally. You're doing it in reverse when you're doing inverses. Plus 6, the inverse of that is -6. If you subtract 6 over there, you have to do it over here on the left side as well. So 10 minus 6 is 4. Equals, what we're left with here is -d. +6 minus 6 cancels them out. This is the same thing as -1 times d. So in order to undo -1 times d, you divide by -1. You divide that side by -1. You got to do the same thing over here. And d equals 4 divided by -1. Opposite signs are always going to be -4. Number 16 says 57 minus 10 plus 8n equals 143. Before we start undoing anything, we need to use our order of operations, which tells us we need to do some addition and subtraction first. Or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. There's no parentheses or exponents or multiplication and division, but we do have some addition and subtraction we could do, or we have some like terms we can put together. 57 minus 10 gives us 47 plus 8n equals 143. At this point, you want to get rid of this positive 47 because you want it to go to that side. You're undoing in reverse order. Plus 47 by subtracting 47. If you subtract 47 on the left, you have to subtract 47 on the right. These will cancel out and leave you with just 8n equals 143 minus 47 is 96. In order to undo 8 times n, since they're next to each other, divide by 8. If you do it on one side, you have to do it on the other side. These will cancel and leave you with just n, and 96 divided by 8 is 12. Number 17 says 2 times y minus 6 equals negative 6. You need to multiply 2 times y and get 2y, and 2 times negative 6 and get negative 12 equals negative 6. Get rid of, again, please excuse my dear, always, Aunt Sally. Always work your inverse operations backwards. Any addition and subtraction first. You have minus 12, add 12 to cancel it out or undo it. You add 12 to that side, you got to do it to this side to balance it. Bring this down, 2y, negative 12 plus 12 cancels out, equals negative 6 plus 12. Subtract them since they're opposite signs. 12 minus 6 is 6, and 12 is farther away from 0, so it stays positive. No more addition and subtraction. Check any multiplication and division. Yeah, you got 2 times y. Undo that by dividing by 2. We divide the left by 2, divide the right by 2. These will cancel and leave you with y equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. Number 18 says 2p over 5 minus 5 equals minus 7 equals 5, or 2p divided by 5 minus 7. Again, order of operations. You want to do the inverse since you're undoing. So any addition and subtraction. Minus 7 will get rid of it by adding 7. Add it to the left, you got to add it to the right. These will cancel out and leave you with what's over here. 2p over 5 equals 5 plus 7 is 12. So that says 2p divided by 5. In order to undo divide by 5, multiply by 5. If you multiply the left by 5, you got to multiply the right by 5. Cancel these out, leaves you with just 2p equals 12 times 5 is 60. Then undo your 2 times p by dividing by 2. Divide the left by 2, you have to divide the right by 2. These will cancel and leave you with p, and 60 divided by 2 is 30. Number 19 says 4.7x plus 1.2 equals 10.6. Undo your plus 1.2 by subtracting 1.2. You subtract 1.2 on the left, subtract 1.2 on the right. You're left with 4.7x. These will cancel, equals 10.6 minus 1.2. It's 9.4. Then 4.7x means times x, so divide by 4.7. If you divide the left by 4.7, divide the right by 4.7. These will cancel and leave you with x. 9.4 divided by 7 is 2. X equals 2. And then number 20 says 3x plus 2 equals 2x minus 8. You want to bring all of your x's to the same side. That's a positive 2x, so subtract 2x. Do the same thing to this side. 3x minus 2x is 1x plus 2 equals, these will cancel, 8. Then get rid of your plus 2 by subtracting 2. Subtract it over there, you have to subtract it over here. You're left with x, since these are going to cancel out, equals 8 minus 2 is 6.